Hey, g'day guys, Steve Lee here. Just doing a bit of a review on what I'm up to today. I've got to go out and shoot a few pigs on one of my neighbours' places. They've employed me to go over and knock out some wild boar that we've got here in Australia. So I'm doing a bit of a review on what I would choose to go and shoot these things. Now, funny thing about pig shooting is pigs are sort of a funny sort of animal where they're all different terrain. They live in different areas. They live in different places. They live in like hilly country. They live in grass plains. They live, in Australia a lot of the time they're along creeks and sort of more dense scrub areas. So when you go shooting pigs or hunting them or eradicating them, what do you want to call it, you really got to find the right weapon for the right time or the right job or the right environment that you're in. So as I'm going out today, I put a few of the guns out that I would generally take, or I've shot pigs at different times, and I get a lot of questions for years about how I get away with having semi-automatics here in Australia. And what I ended up doing was I became a contract shooter, which, well, I am a contract shooter, I have been for years, where I get paid to eradicate pests for people on different properties out west and in different parts of the country. So with this topic today, so that wraps up that question about the semi-autos and the pump-action shotguns and so forth. So I do have a D-class license, and that's how I get around that. But now when I go pig shooting, I suppose my favourite gun that I've ever used, like the gun that's sort of been with me for most of the time, would be my Winchester 30-30. Now, I think as far as a general hunter of pigs, if you're just going to, if you haven't got dogs, if you're just going out shooting pigs, just to get rid of them, the 30-30 I think is probably one of the better calibers for it. It's a great gun. The lever action, the Winchester lever action, I particularly like. I love Winchesters, always have, and this particular one I've had for as long as I can remember. One of my first guns was a Winchester lever action, which is no longer with me. Someone stole it out of my car, but that's another story for another time. But this particular one, I may take this one out today. The other thing I'm going to find is when I go out shooting these days, I like to take my mates. Now, because a lot of my mates don't have their D-class license, the law doesn't entitle me to give them any of my D-class weapons to fire, which is ridiculous. I can be out in the paddock shooting pigs, shooting them with my semi-auto, pump-action shotgun, but I'm not allowed to pass it to them or let them hold the gun at for any reason, even though they've got a gun license to have. They can only use the stuff on their license, which is A and B class. This particular one comes under B class. That is a great gun, but that's probably not what I'll be using today. I've got one mate who's coming, I'm pretty sure he'll use that. Other one I love to use when I'm in dense sort of scrub, when I'm going through lignum and chasing pigs, and particularly when there's a lot of smaller pigs, not a lot of big stuff, but a lot of sows and piglets when we just got to wipe out a whole heap. I think a shotgun is particularly good for that job. Now this particular one, it's only new to me, I've only had it for probably a week. Seen this on a website in Australia here. It's a pump action Bentley 8-shot. Now Bentleys aren't the best when it comes to firearms. It's not a really high quality brand or anything. But I remember we were out shooting probably about 25 years ago, me and my brother, out shooting, and he had a pump action Bentley at that time, very similar to this one. And he pumped it, but when he closed the action, he didn't close it all the way, so as you can see there, it didn't actually lock on. Now generally, if you try and pull the trigger for that, nothing's going to happen. But on the one that he had, and I think it was a bit of a fault with them, you can still fire them with the mechanism here still a little bit opened. So what he done, he cocked it, half cocked it. We saw some foxes or some rabbits, I forget what we were shooting. He held his hand straight underneath the hole in the gun here, pulled the trigger, the shotgun shell came back, the pieces shot down into his hand and bent all the steel and everything, and here we had to take the gun to a gunsmith and get it repaired. Now thankfully, I don't know if you still have that problem. I haven't heard any more of people having that problem, but pump actions haven't been a real big thing in Australia since '96, but they're still around. This particular one would probably more than likely date back before '96, and I'm happy to have it, even though it's not the greatest of all shotguns. It's great to me, and I'm going to love using it. I don't think I'll take that today, as the area we're going to, there's been a few relatively big boars put out there, and there's a whole lot of sows and piglets as well, but I'm probably not going to use that Bentley today. I'll use something else. Another one of my favourites, before I got my my D-class, one thing that became popular in Australia was the pump action 223. And pump action of all different calibers. Now this gives you the availability to have a lot more shots. Now I'm not 100% sure on the legislation on magazine capacity. I'm pretty sure in New South Wales, I know they just passed it in Queensland, where you can no longer have more than 10 shots on any B-class firearms. This particular one's got a 30-shot mag in it, which is the same as AR-15 mag. It does tend to get in the way a little bit with the extension of it. I mean, it's hopeless if you're shooting out the back of a car, if you're shooting to eradicate pests, and you're shooting from back of a ute or something. They do make it a little more difficult. They just get in the way. I don't mind them. They stick in your back a bit when you're putting it on your back when you're carrying it through the scrub. But this particular gun is pretty quick, so fast as you can pump this thing is as fast as you can pull the trigger. But it's nothing like a semi-auto. Like when it comes down to semi-autos, there's just too much clunking and carrying on like this. This is a Remington 223. It's called a 7615 police model, this one. And don't get me wrong, I love this gun. I've shot a lot of stuff with this, but I've got the scope on it because I use it for spotlighting as well. In Australia, spotlighting is one of the main ways we eradicate pests like kangaroos. If you get the right permits, you can shoot kangaroos, foxes, pigs, cats, whatever. There's a whole lot of other native goats, there's a whole lot of other native animals around there. Now this particular gun, I won't take this, but I'd say my son will come with me. He would probably use this because he doesn't have a D class at this moment, at this time, but he will in the future. Now this particular gun, the handy thing about shooting pigs with this is, well, you've got a reasonable magazine capacity, so if you come across a whole heap of, like a mob of 30 or 40 or whatever, you got plenty of ammo to sort of back you up. Another one that I have used in the past, was really popular before the law change in Australia, is is an SKS. This particular one is a Russian version. I do like this gun. I like the Russian ones probably over the Chinese ones. This one's a bit old and rough, but it still shoots okay. And now this isn't the type of thing you'd use sort of too seriously. When I say seriously, like if you're going out to take a specific pig or anything. These are more about eradicating a lot of pests quickly, and especially when you're in tough scrub, tough terrain where it's sort of like built up, or built up in the sense of a lot of scrub, and you're sort of in the lignum with the pigs. This particular gun, you got 10 shots. It's pretty quick. I've got another one in there which is a 30-shot magazine. I like the 10 shot in the sense that it sort of doesn't get in the way. This particular one, I won't be using this one today either, I don't think, because the pig I'm after is a relatively big pig. And I think it's been raining all day, that's why I haven't even left yet. So I'm going to try and basically get the big pig I'm mainly after, which is sort of the leader of this whole mob that we've been chasing, is hopefully this afternoon, because it's been raining, it's going to be out in out on the field. A couple of fields, I've seen it there a couple of times, so I want to try and sort of get into that area and get it. This particular one I'd use, this SKS 7.62x39, I'd probably use that more so on my motorcycle. I'd stick it on the handlebars of the bike, so you can rattle around. It's a cheap gun, it's rough, it's ready, but it's very, very reliable, one of the most reliable sort of semi-autos I've come across. That gun I really like. But no, I'm not going to take it today either. The other thing I could take, I guess, would be, I could take this AK-47. Now this is a sporterized AK-47. This isn't the typical ones that they get over in like in the States, where you have the ones with the pistol grips and everything. This particular one is a little bit different. It's got a cut off here with a steel, so it doesn't come straight down like most AKs do. It's got the same action, it's 30-shot mag, same magazine, same caliber. But there is differences in this. You can't just go and put all the bells and whistles you get. The synthetic stocks really don't fit these. These are one that came into Australia when they were, these were specifically made as a sporterized AK-47, because there was countries, and there still is countries, that won't allow the military type weapons. So this one, I think is better than the SKS, better than the SKK, which the SKK was the SKS with a 30-shot mag, they call those in Australia. But this is a way better weapon. It's called a 386. Now I think Marinko makes these, but I'm not sure who actually made it. There's no stamp on it. It's some Chinese brand, but I'm happy with this gun. I like this gun. I will take it out other times for different purposes, but not for today either. But that's another really good pig gun. Now this one here, I've never taken this out. It's another semi-auto. This one here, the caliber of this thing is really nice. I like how much kick this thing is. 6.5 by 55 Swedish Mauser. This particular thing, it's really hard to pronounce the name because it's spelt really difficultly. I can't even tell you how it's spelt. I forget. It's got L's and J's and stuff in it. But this, from what I've heard in Australia, they call this a Jungmann. This weapon was made for the military in Sweden, but was never actually, they never used it in service. So it wasn't the most popular weapon because it's never actually been in a war. I haven't actually taken that pig shooting yet, but I shot it the other day to test it out. 6.5 by 55, and this is a great, like, smooth. It's big, it doesn't kick much because of the sides, but this particular thing, I really do like this gun. I haven't taken it out and seen how it goes in the field, but I like it. One thing you've got to be careful with these things is, when I first got it, the guy I bought it off showed me this, and it's, the action on this, when you pull this forward, it's got a, I don't even know what you'd call this, but the action on this is dangerous, and the word on the street is that many people lost their fingers from it, so when you actually cock this thing, it's like this. So that thing just goes forward and takes off any fingers that may be sort of like hanging around it. So you got to be pretty careful when you're firing this thing too, that you don't like have your fingers anywhere near that. But I like this. I haven't actually used it as a pig gun, but I will in the future, and I'll take out on one of those one day. The other couple of things I've used for pigs before. This gun is probably, I won't take this, but my cameraman will probably carry this. So I get Beggsy to take this with him. This is a 270 bolt action. It's got a reasonable, it's only got Tasco scope on it, but it's good. I've used it deer shooting before, it shoots pretty straight. So if we get up there on the hill, there's a hill I want to go and sort of sit for a while and see if we get these pigs to come along. We'll take this and I'll talk him out of holding it, and I'll probably use it, but I'll get him to carry it. But I'll let him shoot it at the time. But this will be good for any long shots we got up there if we see these big pigs. We can pin them out. But what I'm going to take today with me, I think, is this Mini 14. Now, this is an older Mini 14, it's not like the more modern ones. Mini 14s are particularly hard to get in Australia, you can't import. A lot of people ask me, why don't you just get an AR-15 or something with a bit more grunt or something newer. In Australia, it's virtually impossible. It's like impossible's here. Well, it's about here, right next to impossible, on getting any brand new semi-autos into Australia. So what we're trying to do is more people that get D-class licenses, less and less of these are around because they just get worn out. It's hard to get them fixed. It's hard to, well, these aren't hard to get fixed in the sense that you get parts and everything brought in, but it is tougher to get parts and stuff for them. You get them made in Australia. There's not a huge amount of gunsmiths that sort of work on semi-autos because they're not all that popular. But this particular gun is pretty good. That thing on the end, I usually leave that on when I'm hunting because it doesn't make it any better. It's more for looks, but it's just got a 20-shot mag. It's just a Ruger Mini 14. I love this gun. I've shot quite a few pigs with this one. Actually, one of the best pigs I've shot, I haven't got the head here yet. One of the best pigs I shot at Charles Towers a few months back was shot with this particular gun. And so that's what I'm going to be taking out today. So we might go out there now. I'll give it another couple of hours before this rain to break and we'll head out there and try a few of these guns out, make sure they're shooting straight before we take off. I mean, a few of the other boys are going to go and see if we can get these pigs today and see what happens.